this meeting to order. The Pickens County Council to work session for Tuesday, January 21st, 2025. We are working on our microphones. We're in TV land. If you have any issues still hearing us, just let us know on Facebook. Fix the system. First item up is the Nation and the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilwoman.
I know, right? Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us here tonight. Please watch over all of the citizens of Pickens County, especially as those who are suffering in this cold. Please help them find places that are warm and safe. Please watch over us tonight. Grant us wisdom, grant us understanding, and open hearts and open minds to do what's best for this. In your name we pray.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Item number 2 is a review of council organizational rules. I'd like to approach this in kind of a two-step fashion. The first thing is the clerk is going to actually go through some suggestions she's making that have to deal with corrections, some updating some things, adding some clarity. We'll go through that. Most of it's pretty self-evident. If you have any input or questions as she goes through each page, just mention them. Try to keep that short to the point. We'll go through the book again the second time, and we'll look at to change the wording or the rule if you want to change a rule. Some deeper discussion or deeper discussion.
Thank you. So I met with administrators last week. These rules, everything up to date here that we saw. But we'll start with page. So I did a red line comment. Section or rule 1. Robert's rule, making sure that that included the latest version of Robert's rule, section 1, where there are a few changes. A proposed amendment to the rule shall be referred to the county council, and county council without proposed amendment upon an affirmative vote of the majority of its members at least one meeting after the introduction.
Any concerns or comments on page 1? All good to go?
And over to page 5, section C and section G. This, both of these are already stated. Correct? I didn't know.
So let me ask the council, the administrator's contracts, do you want to just remove it from the rules, strike those out as she's suggesting? How do you guys?
If you do strike it out, maybe A could just be changed to say the administrator will be held responsible to follow the contract. Clearly, just point it to the contract instead of repeating everything.
I agree. I think that referring to the contract is clean enough, but that way there is some reference in the rules.
You want to do that in C and G as well? Because he talks about his, when there's an issue with, is that what G is? Is that what?
That's to written statement.
That's what I'm afraid of. If you have it in two places written out, if you change one and not the other,
Right.
So you want to just refer C and G to say see the contract?
Good with me.
That's good. We'll take care of that.
Page 6, the bottom, C, clerk to council, I just added shall sign the following on behalf of the county to make with A and B.
Any objections to that?
Page 7, the top, number 4, other case-by-case basis with legal counsel instead of county attorney. So when we do ordinances like that, we actually have an out.
Good catch.
Then page 9. 4.3 agendas, section. I added the red line alert to council. Then I added 12 new. And I'll point that out because it'll be consistent. But I added agenda council member by the clerk council on the Thursday prior to the. I get it. Thursdays.
Everybody's okay with those changes? One thing I'd like to add, 2 words. When you look at D, it says agenda format. To me, that implies every meeting we have has a, I would like to say, regular meeting agenda. Does anybody have an objection to that?
You use a different format,
Yeah, look at this.
different meetings.
Sure, like this meeting right here, have all this.
I got you.
I don't want somebody coming up to say, why isn't that? I'll just say, the wording will be regular meeting agenda format.
Megan, are you receiving, like, is 9 days reasonable or expected?
So, yes, it is reasonable, and also. Uh, 4.4 conduct of meeting, section D. So, saying that if a person or organization requests on the agenda, they have to give. It was 7 days, but I changed it to 9 days just to. Section E, requested. Section E was at section G, where it's marked out on page 11. We were going to move it up. Section F at the end says that the citizens can during it was this time period, but making sure that they are allotted for. Then section F, I just edited that a little bit to make it shorter and more clear. Recognition. Person or stated multiple times in there.
Comments on these? The only, actually, when you look at item F, that last section, it says, further paragraph F of this section shall not be, should be paragraph E, right? Changed.
Page 12, 5.2, very end, the county attorney just put 5.5, not all ordinances items or organization requesting reference to statute department for implementation.
Sure.
13, 5.8, adoption of resolution. Up the first sentence, but currently we don't have committee resolution.
That refers to standing committee.
Uh, 5.11 deleted. Not sure why that's there, but just taking that out and that first change. 5.12 prior to the end of each calendar year. So right now, January. That's done. The budget calendar.
So my understanding is prior to the end of the calendar year, saying before December, you need to have a budget calendar that they will complete before the end of the fiscal year. I think this was actually written correctly. saying, council, before December, we have to have a calendar set to make sure we get a budget complete before. So it's end of the calendar year before the end of the fiscal year. Is how it reads to me.
What ends up happening is year over year over year, it ends up happening in the January meeting. Why it says December and it happens in the January meeting, that's one of the calendar. But it didn't happen this January meeting because it's now discussing the rules. So I understand why it says first quarter. Regardless of what it says, Counselor, I will tell you, this is very valuable to staff in the sense that it puts, and it's very valuable to the public, that budget calendar's there.
Right.
It's transparency. It's everyone knows when we vote on stuff. So it's an important thing, the timing, kind of traditional.
So I thought we did see that December last year, and it doesn't show up till January? But now we're in our last meeting of January.
That's why I understand it to say the first quarter of the calendar year, not my language.
Yeah, what I'm worried about first quarter is that gives you January, February, March for something that has to be completed by June and go through 3. Not sound. If we're making rules, we might as well make a rule that says it needs to be
What do you
January.
suggest?
I would think if you have to have it gone through 3 readings by June, you should have a calendar of how you're going to achieve that presented in June.
When's the first time that we actually meet? Typically.
If I had the budget calendar in front of me, I could actually answer the question. It's, usually it's April.
We don't meet till April?
Budget, first reading of the budget is usually the first.
It's later than,
Yeah, it's later, I think. Yeah.
you're okay with that?
I'm okay, that's fine.
Okay. Any other?
Page 15, committees. I crossed out 6-2, A, B, C, D, because then page 6, crossed out 6.
Any objections to her? I'll have something to say about this. Getting at the heart of it. We don't have standing committees.
Page 19, 7.3, that gives me, making sure that that said council, I think, C.
Anybody have any other comments that and changes that she made? Oh, okay. There's one thing that, when you talk about on 1.2, talk about refer to the current edition of Robert's Rules of Order. That's going to change over time. And when you look at the rule book that we have, Chapter 8 actually has Robert's Rules of Order from like 15 years ago. So what I would do is I would strike out the entire Chapter 8. You would just look at current edition of Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised. That's out there. I mean, you could put a website for whatever the particular website is if you want. Come up with an idea. This way you don't have rules in 2 separate places that, you know, there are, because I've read them. Everybody, any objections to that?
So that's chapter
8, yeah, where it says Robert's Rules.
8. You want me to just say refer to whatever the latest?
Well, yeah, well, it already says it.
And not have
It
and
says
not
it, yeah, I would just quote right here, just
There is a website, robertsrules.com.
so that she can put that in there. If you want to need Chapter 8.
But wait, this might not be the full. This
She'll-
is not the full. Never mind.
She'll come
Cross
up
that
with
comment.
something. Or the attorney can come up with some. Or just, well, the title of current edition of Robert's Rules of Order newly revised, wherever it is.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean, I got a copy at home. I want a Barnes and Noble. All right, any other comments about?
I would say if that's probably something that should be in a new training manual is a copy of Robert's Rules. If you're given this to say this is what you have to follow, it's possible. The latest copy of the
Good idea. That's, all right, so the second time through, changes that we want to make. Now, we'll start with page, I have a couple suggestions. Each person will Shout it out if you've got a change you want to make. So let's start with page number 3.
I pulled mine from when I started, which are a year old, and apparently so can you use the rule number instead of the page number?
Okay,
Please.
how about you? Oh, you got your notes there. Okay, yeah, we'll do that. So I'm starting with page, probably it's 4 in yours, but 3, where it talks about county council officers.
Rule 2.
Rule 2. I want to change 2 rules. First rule that I want to change is, I want to get your feedback, is no councilman can be elected to an office for more than 1 2-year term. It's a term limit office. So this would be it for me. Be done, be term limit. Now, if I resign and Chris becomes the chairman, he would finish my term and then could do his own 2-year term. That's what I'm proposing. That's my first one. And then if somebody is chairman, new chairman comes up, they can become chairman again for a second 2 years. It's not like the president where you're 2 terms a year. It's 2 terms, 1 term consecutive. You can't do more than. You can do 1 here. Councilman X comes 2 years, Y, and then X can come back. And the reason I want to do that is I want to kind of disperse power from the chairmanship. I don't know if you guys want to agree with that. What are your thoughts?
One reason I don't mind it like this is because our council goes through an election cycle every 2 years. So you're already built into having to have a new group of people vote every 2 years. So if the same chair got voted in again, that would imply that the new people on council are, if they're not, they'll vote against it. I feel almost like our election already takes care of this. Whereas if you have someone who keeps going on and off every 2 years and they're working on their 4-year elections, 4 of y'all get elected every 4 years. So you could have someone who's chair for 2 years, takes 2 years off when the other people are elected, 2 years back on when it's their 4. Doing 4 that get elected together could keep the person if you also don't have a. I mean, not strongly, but like I think it works because there's an election.
Thoughts?
I do like that person. And would lean to you.
It hadn't changed. Over the years, it hasn't changed. It's one of those, to me, that the election process is the election process. I don't disagree with the disbursement of power at all. And I feel like of 6 members of council, the majority of the 6 members choose chair. I don't think the term limit is necessarily warranted and or needed. But if it makes us feel better, it makes us feel better, because I think at the end of the day, I think it really.
I thought we'd already passed. I don't know.
All right, doesn't feel strongly. Feel strong. Let me just pitch you 1 second. Now, what happens is when the chairman resigns or the vice chair resigns, you have a new election.